Hello, Zenith women, and welcome to the channel. Trust is a fragile thing, easily broken, often misplaced, and rarely repaired. In a world where betrayal masquerades as friendship and loyalty is often a performance, it's no wonder Sigma females don't play the trust game. They've mastered the art of staying one step ahead, their intuition sharper than a detective on their third espresso. Did you know that studies show over 60% of people admit to lying at least once during a 10-minute conversation? Now imagine how many of those lies slip under the radar. But not with Sigma females. They have a sixth sense for spotting deception, a kind of social X-ray vision that makes others squirm under their piercing gaze. This isn't about paranoia, it's about survival in a world where masks are often more common than authenticity. While others might fall for sweet words or charming smiles, Sigma females lean into their instincts, knowing full well that trust is not a gift to be handed out. It's a vault that only a select few earn the key to. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, they know when you're faking a laugh at their jokes. They just don't care enough to call you out. Number 1. They recognize the illusion of transparency. Sigma. Females have an uncanny ability to see through the illusion of transparency. Most people operate under the assumption that they're good at hiding their true intentions, but Sigma females know better. They've spent enough time observing patterns in human behavior to understand that what people say rarely aligns with what they mean. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. They've learned that many interactions are performances, with each person playing a role to fit their agenda. This realization makes Sigma females naturally skeptical. They know that even the most genuine-seeming words can be carefully curated, designed to elicit trust or manipulate emotions. They can spot the cracks in a facade long before others notice, whether it's the subtle hesitations in speech, inconsistent actions, or the overly rehearsed charm of someone trying too hard. It's not magic, it's attention to detail, sharpened by experience. This sharp awareness often leaves them on guard because they recognize how much people hide behind layers. The world is full of half-truths, white lies, and unspoken motives, and Sigma females refuse to be caught off guard by any of them. They don't rely on the face value version of a person. Instead, they dig deeper, evaluating actions over words and consistency over promises. To the untrained eye, this might come across as distrustful or even cold. But for Sigma females, it's about self-preservation. They've learned the hard way that being too trusting leaves them vulnerable, and vulnerability in the wrong hands can quickly turn into betrayal. They'd rather be labeled distant than naive, and they're okay with that. Their ability to see through the illusion isn't just a skill, it's their armor, keeping them ahead in a world where not everyone plays fair. Number 2, they've learned to separate kindness from trust. Sigma. Females have mastered the art of being kind without being naive. They understand a crucial truth that many overlook. Kindness and trust are not the same thing. Being kind is a reflection of their character, a conscious choice to treat others with respect and compassion. Trust, on the other hand, is a calculated decision, earned over time through consistent actions and reliability. For them, the two concepts operate on entirely different planes. This separation is what keeps Sigma females from being taken advantage of. They can listen to someone's problems with genuine empathy, offer advice or support, and even go out of their way to help, but that doesn't mean they'll lower their guard. They don't confuse their willingness to give with a blind acceptance of someone's intentions. Kindness is their way of maintaining peace within themselves. Trust is about protecting their boundaries. People often mistake this for aloofness or emotional unavailability, but it's neither. Sigma females understand that just because they see the good in people doesn't mean they ignore the bad. They don't wear rose-colored glasses that blur red flags into soft pinks. Their kindness comes with clarity. They'll extend a hand to lift someone up, but they'll still keep an eye on how that person behaves when they think no one's watching. This balanced approach makes Sigma females incredibly difficult to manipulate. They've encountered far too many people who equate kindness with weakness, assuming that a warm smile or a helping hand means they can exploit the situation. But Sigma females know better. Their kindness is a choice, not an invitation. Trust, however, is a privilege, one that few will ever earn. Number 3, they've overcome social conditioning. Sigma. Females have shattered the societal mold that expects women to be endlessly agreeable, trusting, and compliant. From a young age, many women are conditioned to prioritize harmony over honesty, to smooth over conflict, and to offer trust as a default rather than a decision. But Sigma females have rejected this narrative, realizing that blind faith often leads to betrayal, and that unwavering agreeableness comes at the cost of their autonomy. Breaking free from these expectations wasn't easy. It required unlearning deeply ingrained behaviors and stepping into a mindset where they could prioritize their own intuition over external pressures. Sigma females understand that trust isn't something to be handed out like candy at a parade. It's a deliberate act of discernment. They've redefined what it means to be nice. They can be respectful without being a pushover, empathetic without being gullible, and open-minded without sacrificing their standards. Society often labels women who don't conform to these expectations as cold or difficult, but Sigma females wear those labels like armor. They know the cost of fitting into a box that was never designed for them. By choosing discernment over blind faith, they've embraced a life where they can maintain their boundaries without apology. This resistance to social conditioning is a quiet rebellion. It's not about being distrustful for the sake of defiance, but about reclaiming the right to choose who is truly worthy of their trust. For Sigma females, this is empowerment in its purest form, a refusal to play by rules that demand they put others' comfort above their own instincts. Their trust is no longer dictated by societal norms. It's an extension of their strength, their wisdom, and their unwavering commitment to self-respect. Number 4, they don't chase closure. Sigma females have no interest in chasing closure from others. Unlike most people who often place trust in someone as a way to seek explanations, apologies, or validation, Sigma females have learned that true closure isn't something you can depend on others to provide. They understand that waiting for someone else to tie up emotional loose ends is not only draining but also gives that person power over their peace of mind. Instead, they take ownership of their own healing, making them far less likely to risk trust in search of answers they may never receive. This approach isn't born from apathy, but from a deep understanding of human behavior. Sigma females know that not everyone has the capacity to offer genuine apologies or honest explanations. They've seen how people twist the truth to suit their narrative or avoid accountability altogether. Rather than clinging to the hope that someone will finally provide the why they're looking for, Sigma females focus on moving forward without it. This doesn't mean they're unfeeling or dismissive. They acknowledge the pain of unresolved situations, but instead of letting that pain control them, they channel it into growth. They've mastered the art of finding their own answers through introspection, self-reflection, and a commitment to personal clarity. It's a kind of emotional self-sufficiency that not only protects them from unnecessary hurt, but also strengthens their resolve. By not chasing closure, Sigma females free themselves from the endless loop of doubt and disappointment that so often comes with relying on others for resolution. It's not about avoiding trust altogether, but about understanding its limits. For them, peace isn't a gift someone else can give. It's something they cultivate within themselves, no strings attached. Number 5, they see trust as a currency. To a Sigma female, trust is like currency. Precious, limited, and never spent recklessly. Unlike those who hand it out freely in the hopes of forging quick connections, Sigma females treat trust as something to be earned, not assumed. They understand its value and guard it carefully, knowing that misplaced trust comes with a cost they're unwilling to pay. For them, trust isn't built on words or grand promises. It's rooted in consistent actions over time. They don't rush to conclusions about someone's character. Instead, they observe, quietly, patiently, watching how someone behaves when the stakes are low, when there's nothing to gain, or when no one is looking. Sigma females know that patterns reveal more about a person than any declaration ever could. This mindset often surprises others who are used to trust being a casual exchange. But Sigma females have learned, sometimes the hard way, that blind trust leads to betrayal, disappointment, and manipulation. They've seen how easily people can wear masks to hide their true intentions, and they've vowed not to fall for it. For them, trust is a privilege, not a right, and it must be earned with integrity and reliability. This doesn't mean Sigma females are closed off or cynical. They're just strategic. They're willing to give people the chance to prove themselves, but refuse to lower their standards to accommodate anyone. Trust is a finite resource, and they won't waste it on those who haven't demonstrated they deserve it. By treating trust as currency, Sigma females maintain control over their emotional investments. They don't just protect themselves, they ensure that the connections they do choose to nurture are genuine, meaningful, and built to last. Number 6. They see trust as a strategic investment, Sigma. Females treat trust like a strategic investment, carefully weighing the risks and potential returns before committing. To them, every relationship carries a level of uncertainty, and they're not about to gamble with their emotional well-being on a whim. They view trust as something to be allocated thoughtfully, only to those who demonstrate loyalty, respect, and integrity, not promised blindly in the hope of reciprocation. This approach stems from their ability to see relationships through a pragmatic lens. Sigma females understand that trust, much like an investment, requires consistent effort to grow and thrive. They don't expect perfection, but they do demand authenticity and consistency. Flaky behavior, empty promises, or questionable motives are immediate deal breakers. If someone can't meet the standards required to earn their trust, they simply won't invest in the relationship further. Their strategic approach doesn't mean they're calculating in a cold or detached way. It's more about ensuring their emotional energy is spent wisely. Sigma females know that trust, once given, makes them vulnerable, and they're unwilling to hand over that kind of power to just anyone. They would rather have a small circle of reliable, trustworthy individuals than spread themselves thin trying to maintain shallow or one-sided connections. What makes this mindset so effective is that it forces others to step up. Sigma females naturally command respect because they set a precedent. If you want their trust, you have to earn it. And once it's earned, it's unshakable. But if it's broken, there's no second chance. For Sigma females, this strategic approach ensures that their relationships are built on a solid foundation. They're not interested in fleeting connections or hollow bonds. Every ounce of trust they give is intentional, purposeful, and ultimately an investment in something worth having. Number 7. They believe in self-protection. First, Sigma females operate on a fundamental principle. Self-protection comes first. They've learned through experience that while others may care for them, no one will ever prioritize their well-being with the same intensity they do for themselves. It's not an indictment of humanity, it's simply a realistic understanding of how the world works. People are often driven by their own interests, and depending too much on someone else to safeguard your emotional or mental health is a gamble they're unwilling to take. For Sigma females, trust often feels like surrendering a piece of their autonomy. They're not willing to compromise their sense of security by placing their well-being in someone else's hands. This doesn't mean they're incapable of forming close bonds or being vulnerable, but they always ensure that their core sense of stability remains firmly within their own control. They've seen too many examples of misplaced trust, leading to exploitation, betrayal, or neglect. Whether it's in friendships, romantic relationships, or even family dynamics, they've observed how easily people can falter when the stakes get high. That's why Sigma females don't take trust lightly. It's not about building walls to shut others out. It's about ensuring that their boundaries are strong enough to keep them safe. This mindset isn't rooted in fear, but in empowerment. Sigma females don't view self-protection as selfish. They see it as necessary. They know that trusting the wrong person can cost them emotionally, mentally, or even physically, and they refuse to take that risk lightly. By prioritizing their own well-being above all else, they maintain the independence and strength that define them. For a Sigma female, self-protection isn't just a strategy, it's a way of life. and one they've mastered to perfection. Number 8. They don't need people for social survival. Sigma. Females don't depend on others for social survival. Unlike many who rely on their connections or social circles to build their identity or maintain their status, Sigma females have learned to find fulfillment within themselves. They don't need the approval of others to feel whole, nor do they tie their self-worth to how others perceive them. This self-sufficiency gives them a rare freedom, one that allows them to navigate the world without the constant pressure to fit in or play the game of social validation. While others might align with certain groups or individuals to gain influence, status, or acceptance, Sigma females don't compromise their trust or principles for such fleeting rewards. They understand that relationships built on the need for external validation are often shallow, and they have little interest in participating in that cycle. Their value isn't tied to their social standing. It's grounded in their sense of self. This independence is one of the reasons why Sigma females are so difficult to manipulate. They can move through social circles without becoming entangled in the web of obligation, flattery, or power dynamics that often cloud judgment. They see social connections for what they are, temporary exchanges that are either meaningful or inconsequential. By rejecting the need for others to dictate their sense of belonging, Sigma females protect themselves from the emotional traps that many fall into. They form connections out of genuine interest and respect, not out of a need to validate their place in society. For them, social survival isn't about gaining others' trust to fit in. It's about maintaining their own peace, integrity, and sense of self, independent of anyone else's influence. Number 9. They've witnessed performative loyalty. Sigma. Females have seen enough of the world to recognize performative loyalty when they encounter it. They've witnessed the hollow promises of people who pledge unwavering allegiance one moment, only to flip sides when it suits their own interests. It's an all too familiar pattern, one that has shaped how Sigma females view loyalty and trust. For them, loyalty is not something that can be casually claimed. It must be proven consistently, through actions, not words. They've been burned by the people who wear loyalty like a badge, shouting it from the rooftops, while secretly planning their next betrayal. It's these experiences that have made them highly skeptical of anyone who promises loyalty without the backing of tangible actions. Sigma females have learned the hard way that words can be cheap, and the louder someone boasts about their loyalty, the less likely it is to be genuine. This constant shift in allegiances, where loyalty bends and breaks when faced with personal gain, has taught Sigma females to be cautious. They no longer take promises at face value. Instead, they watch for consistency, integrity, and reliability. They understand that true loyalty is built on trust and time, not on grand declarations or temporary circumstances. Their skepticism isn't born from cynicism, but from a deep understanding of human nature. They know that the world is full of opportunists who will claim loyalty when they need something and abandon you the second it no longer benefits them. Because of this, Sigma females don't invest in loyalty based on the words people speak. They invest based on how people behave over time, when there's nothing to gain, and when standing by them doesn't come with any reward. They know that true loyalty is a rare gem, and they'll only trust those who prove they are worthy of it. Number 10. They prioritize energy over emotions. For Sigma females, mental and emotional energy are not just precious, they're sacred. Every interaction, every relationship, every connection takes a toll on their energy reserves, and they've learned to guard these reserves fiercely. Unlike those who give away their trust freely, often ending up emotionally drained, Sigma females are meticulous about where and how they invest their energy. They understand that not everyone deserves access to the deeper parts of their being, and they don't waste time on relationships that demand more from them than they can give in return. Trusting the wrong person for them isn't just about potential disappointment. It's about an emotional and mental drain that leaves them feeling exhausted and unbalanced. Sigma females are keenly aware that the wrong people can suck the life out of them, whether through manipulation, drama, or the constant need for reassurance and validation. They've seen how certain people drain your energy with their endless demands, or their ability to create chaos where there was once peace. Rather than allow that to happen, Sigma females prioritize their inner peace and emotional balance above all else. They choose to protect their mental space, preserving their energy for the things and people that truly matter to them. This doesn't mean they're emotionally unavailable or cold, but they know the importance of keeping their emotional resources in check. They're selective about who they let into their inner circle, understanding that the wrong person can deplete them in ways that aren't easily recovered. By prioritizing energy over emotions, Sigma females protect themselves from the toxic dynamics that can often unfold in relationships. They've learned to identify when someone is simply too much of a drain and know when to pull back before things get too costly. They trust not just with their hearts but with their minds, ensuring that every relationship they engage in is worth the investment. In a world where trust is often given away like a commodity, Sigma females stand as a testament to the power of self-preservation, discernment, and inner strength. They don't operate on the assumptions that most people do, throwing their trust into the wind and hoping it lands somewhere safe. Instead, they understand that trust is earned, not assumed, and they're meticulous about where they invest it. Through experience, they've learned that kindness doesn't equal naivety. Loyalty isn't guaranteed by promises, and closure can't be outsourced to others. They trust in themselves first and foremost, knowing their mental and emotional energy is a finite resource that should never be taken for granted. By rejecting performative loyalty, resisting social conditioning, and prioritizing self-protection, Sigma females carve their own path in a world that often expects conformity. They don't need others to validate their existence, and they certainly don't need anyone to dictate how they show up in relationships. Trusting others isn't a game for them. It's a carefully calculated investment that yields the highest returns when aligned with people who meet their standards. At the end of the day, Sigma females are not just survivors. They're architects of their own emotional landscape. They don't chase validation, they don't beg for loyalty, and they sure as hell don't settle for anything less than what they deserve. Their trust is a sacred thing, and if you're lucky enough to earn it, you've earned something rare and invaluable. So for those who wonder why Sigma females don't trust easily, it's simple. They've learned the hard way that true trust is a treasure and only the truly worthy get a chance to claim it. If you found yourself nodding along or feeling like you've just unlocked a deeper understanding of the Sigma mindset, don't miss out on more insights like this. Hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. Whether you're looking for more on relationships, self-discovery, or navigating the complexities of trust, this channel is your go-to for no-nonsense, thought-provoking content. Trust us, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Go ahead, subscribe, and let's keep diving into what really matters.